Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Moving Forward in St. Lucia and in the diaspora and on Choice Television. It is always uplifting for me to be speaking to you all, at least once a week. I'm without a doubt always flattered that you are listening to the few words that come out of my mouth. I'm happy and contented because on this program, the truth crushed, the earth will rise again. At times, I go back to Shakespeare when I think of the opposition, and the word that comes out of my mouth is simply this: "Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I'm meek and gentle with these butchers of the united wreckers of the poor, who seem not concerned whether they are giving a bad name to the country we call St. Lucia, the Helen of the West. They seem hell-bent on trying to poison people's mind with filth, lies, and concocted stories. When an ex-minister calls or says horrible things in terms of criminality and then associate that with the Labour Party or the government, it is unbelievable. And is without a doubt one whose mouth is putrid. These are the same people who pretend to be sanctimonious. There they are, casting all sorts of false rumors that they instigated while in government with the CBI and CIP monies. I therefore ask them where the so-called lockbox is for those monies. One of your so-called barking dogs, and that there was $60 million, that's what they said, in the CIP lockbox when they left office. What I want to ask Alan is, what has he done to recoup the country's $7.3 million he virtually gave away when he broke all the rules of the Ministry of Finance to get that money so as to give to individuals who had not dealt in drugs buying ever before, more so during the COVID-19 period. To date, no drugs have been forthcoming or money's being returned. Can he think of what that amount would be doing in helping some sick and poor people in the country or in our society? Not only that, think after 4 years or more, how much interest that would accumulate. Yet they are there asking about CIP monies without showing or proving that the government or those in charge did any underhand deals in the CIB. They are spreading their filth in the hope that some stick. We've heard that before. However, I'm very much concerned and also want to know what was done with the money that was borrowed for the desilting of the dam. Because when the Philip Joseph Pierre government came into office, there was not a cent left when 60 million was borrowed for the project. And to date, no silt has been removed from the dam. That is a fact. Come on, Alan and Guy. The people of the country wants to know, where have the money gone? Can he and his government or past government account for that? I also want to know how the money for the highway that was being expanded up north, where did it come from and how was the money spent? Because so much was spent uselessly. The other on my brief is how much money that was spent on the cul-de-sac roundabout. During the UWP period in government, it was a fiasco, literally. And they thought that they did not have to account to the nation. How is money or our money was spent? Because they thought that they were the government and did not have to account or give some insights into their spending. And now the same things they did not do, they are asking this government to do. Nevertheless, there is no doubt in many people's mind that things are improving rapidly since the new government came into power. The opposition seem unable to comprehend what is happening because it is too good to be true. I therefore said to them to keep abreast of the work that is taking place because Christmas 2024, lots will have been taken place because this is a working government. There is a saying that was popular and given to the public speech delivered by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Montgomery, Alabama. I therefore thought it was appropriate to bring it out tonight, although it's short, to tell the United Records of the Poor that when they ask, how long will the special prosecutor comes out with some misdemeanor charges against some of them, my answer to that is, how long? Not long. Before the howling starts. When one considers the problems that occurred as far as the last government was concerned, and even the fiasco up north with the roadworks, the price for that project was astronomical. The one with no plans, and things were just being done on the spur of the moment. Can you believe that? Then you had that building and land which was sold for virtual peanuts, which in any form of description that the deal is nothing less than daylight robbery. I'm bringing all this to the fore when corruption is being alleged about this government by the opposition, when there isn't at present. It is the same with the CIP monies, because one has to ask a simple question. Who brought the amount down from 200,000 to 100,000 or less? In some circumstances, it certainly was not the Labour administration, because Kennedy Anthony, as Prime Minister, believed strongly that the price must stay high because it would be above board and up to 215. Everything was up to date in that regard. The slide began in 2016 when the United Workers' Party government came into office and the DSH project was on board and Chinese were able to come here visa-free. No date. No one knows how much was collected to date, that is, by T.O.R. King. But we have now understood by certain individuals that it is now in a Chinese bank. We were, or the government of the day, was simply duped by T.O.R. King. So much so, no one in St. Lucia knows how much was in that account. There is no doubt that due diligence, they said, was kept and the standards were very high. I can tell you that before 2016 and beyond. This last government has a lot to answer for, and they should have told Martinez, their spokesperson these days, that before he opened his unadulterated verbal diarrhea, that's what he spouts. The individuals who call themselves the executive of the opposition are, in my view, rumor mongers. And they are becoming experts at lies because they were well trained by their leader and vice leader at present. They have convinced me without a doubt that they are running a school for perfect lies. Having outlined all this above, all this at this juncture, I'm simply over the moon on much of what is happening in the country by our beloved Prime Minister, Philip Joseph Pierre, and by what he is achieving in 2 years and 10 months in his present position as Prime Minister of this beautiful island of ours. However, I feel there is no doubt that I'm somewhat depressed by the attitude of the United Records of the Poor, who seem to have nothing else to do but to stir up as much confusion, disharmony, alarm, and despondency as they can. I fail to understand. And how a political party can work so hard in turning a lie into truth and truth into lies. Because of their insanity and their thirst for power, they are trying their best to convince the citizens of this country that all the rotten things they put in place was okay, but that it is this government that brought anything at all that was horrendous into being, even to the extent that they simply closed their eyes with their lies, by trying their utmost to make it look as if it was this government that brought Galaxy to St. Lucia. And by doing so, stained and simply destroyed the CIB. It is clear to anyone who was in tune with what was taking place that when they allowed T.O.R. King to buy land at 99 cents an acre on a 99-year lease, all hell was let loose, and people had to understand, and I'm going to do that tonight. This, without a doubt, was a money-making gimmick, which, as has been alleged, that the party or some would benefit, not the country and the whole. We must never forget that T.O.R. King tried his best with Kenny, who simply told him no to any deal that was not beneficial to this country. The Riot Act was read to him, but the moment Allen won the election, he was back as a rat out of hell. Allen and his cohorts were so keen to show that they were achieving something from almost day one of coming into office, that they jump into the septic tank that T.O.R. King had prepared for them. And they all came out smelling of shit as there was a pungent stench about government from then on. It simply stank so badly that some who should have known better did not realize what they were doing or signing, because the stench was simply overpowering. And therefore, they did not know what they were signing. So they said. That is the story one of them gave. What a farce. And a bunch of idiots and nincompoops. I therefore say to all of them that in St. Lucian politics, your days are numbered. St. Lucians have seen the light. And it is clear that is why they are not turning up to your constituency meetings. What I still have to bring to light we will come to it much later into the program, because I want to dissect what took place thoroughly and also to outline the atrocious behavior of the leader of the opposition in the House on this issue. This mismanagement of the country's asset that we went through, I thought was scandalous, and those who perpetrated that deal should have been sitting inside our prisons. This, in my view, was simply sacrilege. And it is clear that this was the devil's work, which seemed to make things look nice because he's looking for his sinners to come to dwell with him in hell. In thinking of the DSH lands, ladies and gentlemen, have many of you thought, even in Viewfort, how much an acre of land would cost the ordinary man or woman in that constituency? Don't forget, the land is sold by the square foot. Well, even at $10 a square foot, that would be a lot of money. Therefore, $10 a square foot, as we have in Castries and beyond sometimes, would be somewhat around $450,000 an acre. Yet, this individual was only asked to pay $1, or according to the Prime Minister, 99 cents an acre. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that in theory was 43,000 square feet an acre. Yet, he was given that amount of land. Some say 100 acres, but Allen quickly said it was 55. How can that be? And further to that, the individual was allowed to keep any CIP monies in his own account, when in theory, that is state monies. When he tried to bludgeon us with what was the T.O.R. King was spending, he said he was spending his own money to begin with. Well, he has to show that to us. I hope that the special prosecutor is looking into this thoroughly. As a mediator of the High Court, these are the things I would be looking into. What I would also like to know is how much did the government actually put into the DSH project compared to T.O.R. King? If I am to take an example from Ojo Labs, the deal that they made, simply nothing. However, this country goes on even further. If an in-depth investigation is done, we will see for sure. Here we are being told that corruption was taking place under the CBI program at present, and yet St. Lucians don't have a clue as to how much was in the account of T.O.R. King, because his bank account is in China. When these individuals are talking about alleged corruption, I would like to ask them, in all sincerity, was it not their government that brought T.O.R. King to St. Lucia? Not only that, was it not the same individual who was given full blessings in bringing over 1,000 Chinese to St. Lucia visa-free on the Chanel's project? But it didn't happen because we changed government. So much so that not one St. Lucian would have got a job. When one talks about corrupt practices, the whole procedures on that deal was without a doubt allegedly corrupt to the hilt. Ladies and gentlemen, when we are talking about corruption, let us look at ourselves first before passing any judgment. There is a saying that I have been taught by my dear father, that is, to thine own self be true, and thou canst be false to no man. Look at yourself first. Therefore, I say this to the higher echelon of the United Records of the Poor, that you are not true to yourself. What is clear and factual is that the prime agricultural land was literally given away. And ladies and gentlemen, when I said earlier that it was sold at $10 a square foot, I was looking at land that was not as valuable as the agricultural land that was literally given away on a project that many saw as an alleged contract. What I would like to know is whether no one was aware of what was taking place. One who was alleged to be involved and signed to that effect told us later that he was simply not aware of what he was signing, as I mentioned before. Yet, the individual was a banker before coming into politics. Therefore, when Alan is talking about mendicants, jackasses, and barking dogs, he seems to have been aware of the type of people who are in his party. Therefore, he would know, because he's without a doubt the leader of what he called them. When one hears of the Trinity, and that includes the spider's web as party's PR, the deputy leader, which is the poodle, and the third of that conspicuous group should all be called basically ass lickers and individuals who literally talk utter crap. Their mouths, whenever they open it, is full of nullification and vilification. So at this juncture, I'll take a break and I'll be back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Moving Forward. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after that first thrust, let us pray or say a short prayer, because it is a hot night on the home front, and because I want to touch on some other subjects or issues, and even on what is happening in the country. So in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Dear God, I come before you today with a humble heart and a spirit of gratitude. I thank you for the gift of life and for the countless blessings you have bestowed upon me personally. As I bow my head in prayer, I seek your presence and guidance, not only in my life, but that of all St. Lucians, more so the present Prime Minister, Philip Joseph Pierre. Lord, grant us the strength to face the challenges that lie ahead, knowing that with you by our side, we are never alone. Lord, fill us with wisdom and understanding so that we may make wise decisions and choices that align with your will. We ask for your forgiveness for our shortcomings and sins, knowing that your grace and mercy and boundless help for us to be more compassionate, patient, and loving towards each other. Lord, we pray for good health, both physically and spiritually. May you grant us the energy and vitality to serve you and others with enthusiasm and joy. Finally, we ask for your protection and guidance for our loved ones and for peace to prevail in our world. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Tonight I quote from the Bible, Sirach chapter 3, verses 17 to 24. Son, be humble in everything you do, and people will appreciate it more than gifts. The greater you become, the more humble you should be. Then the Lord will be pleased with you. The Lord's power is great, and he is honored by those who are humble. Don't try to understand things that are too hard for you or investigate matters that are beyond your power to know. Concentrate on the law which has been given to you. You do not need to know about things which the Lord has not revealed, so don't concern yourself with them. After all, what has been shown to you is beyond human power to understand. Many people have been misled by their own opinions. Their wrong ideas have warped their judgments. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Oh, tonight, once again, I want to begin in earnest by showing the two sides of the political divide in this country and how the leaders of both past and present do believe in terms of the way they feel about this country. Alan Shastney, the leader of the opposition and past prime minister, said at one of their constituency group meetings, which was shown on live television, he had this to say, which I thought was appalling, and yet his audience supported that awful thought. And this is what he had to say.
That tonight we must declare war. We must declare war on anybody who wants to take us for a pappy show. And I'm putting the civil servants on notice.
Therefore, having listened to the leader of the opposition and an ex-prime minister of this country, it is therefore important to listen to the present prime minister, a man of integrity, who loves this country with a passion. Listeners of the program, I want you to take time to judge them both. Here is what the Prime Minister, Philip Joseph Pierre, had to say.
Basically, what I want to leave is a country that is more equitable, a country where meritocracy rules, a country where every man and woman, every boy and girl will love St. Lucia, will think that St. Lucia belongs to them. We'll say, this is really a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. And we need to ensure that each one believes they can make a contribution to our country. I want a country where there is less bitterness, where there's less discord, a country where we can live together in harmony, in spite of the fact that we'll have differences in opinion, but that hatred and that venom and that call for anger. And like a country where that's diminished.
I hope that now you can assimilate what was said by both, and you can make your judgment as to who you think have the development of this country at heart and who really loves the country. They have both represented as prime ministers. This is for you to judge. I'm putting the cases before you as best I can. When an ex-prime minister calls for war, which he did before, and no one admonished him, yet when the Speaker of the House talked about a bazooka, everyone went haywire. Ladies and gentlemen of this country, I believe sincerely, as Prime Minister, Alan simply failed to keep close to the beating heart of the people. Well, in my view, he has made it clear in his sayings that it can be interpreted, and he has no reason, interpret it as we want, and he has no reason to explain. The present Prime Minister said quite categorically, as he said, and it put into the House when he said that he has made, that is Alan, has made the statement as being the product of Canada. Therefore, the simple question is, why do you want to be the Prime Minister of this country, even to the extent of calling for war on all fronts? Alan, whom do you think that you are kidding? You are known to all with a brain that lies, and one who thinks he is too clever for his own good. I tell you this in all sincerity, your lies are slowly coming together to smother you. Even the lies you exhale cannot take it anymore. What you have simply forgotten is that the tradition in our politics, especially with the government, is to get projects done for the benefit of the country as a whole. You as Prime Minister seem to talk about starting projects which never materialize, but it gave the impression that you were going to create jobs. In my observation of Alan, ladies and gentlemen, as a past Prime Minister, and listening to people on the street, the conclusion one comes to is that there was a conglomeration of factors which prevailed in the assessment of him, in that he was shifty, mean to some, that was not part of the FFF, family, friends, and foreigners. And one must never forget the Fortuna doctrine. I will keep reminding you of this. He also seemed as greedy, boring, unscrupulous, or to the extent no amount of brilliant phraseology or deep thinking are fired at him. To an extent, for the time being, we are stuck with him as leader of the opposition, doing everything he can to disrupt the working of the House when he is there, because he thinks that his height, size, and mulatto complexion gives him that right. There is something he does not understand in terms of the meaning of what politics is all about, because he does not have the brains to comprehend and to sift out facts from fiction. Well, I want to convey to him that politics, we are told, or have been reminded for a long time, is the art of the possible. And any government or party who insists on the impossible will not last long. I bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, once again, that to the fore, that the DSH debacle and why now St. Lucia owes a Chinese man so much, because he was allowed to have 1,000 acres of land, as I said, and the Prime Minister made it clear too, at 99 cents an acre, when in theory, as I said before, 1 square foot of land can be worth so much money. And the minimum is sometimes $8 a square foot. And in many cases today, we buy land to build a house that can cost anything up to from $20 to $30 EC. A square foot. Ladies and gentlemen, work it out for yourself. I even have a recording of the past Prime Minister standing up on a point of order to say that it was not 1,000 acres that they gave to Tiwa King, but somewhere in the region of 500 acres. Can you believe that? 500 acres. As though that's not anything. Can one believe that idiot, when as far as I'm concerned, that it is a form of alleged corruption, which they now want to throw at this government, that are creating jobs, producing housing for the poor in our society, bringing down the inflation rate, and doing its best in helping the poor, looking after the education of our children. Yes, they may laugh, as the deputy leader has done, in terms of the minimum wage, which they never believed in, because our poor workers did not deserve a minimum wage. But they just had to be happy having a job, just as slave labor. St. Lucians, once again, I want to remind you all that we must do everything possible to release ourselves from mental slavery. Saint-Lizzie, or Saint-Lizien, Tiwe-San, Tet-Nou, the United Records of the Poor seem to like focusing on trivializing instead of the real issues that matter, and the tremendous job of work that this government is doing under Philip Joseph Pierre. What they should be concentrating on, instead of the work of the Pierre's government, is that of their terrible mismanagement of this country between 2016 and 2021. And as I have mentioned before, they were very good at dismantling and seems good at manipulating what was important to our democracy. Here is the leader of the opposition, who now talks about our constitution, yet he overlooked it in his term as the leader of the country. He broke laws when it suited him. On several occasions, I say to him that the facts are there, and I can bring them forward to him on several fronts. Comrade, you were simply a joke and the biggest liar in town. You are now trying your utmost to blame this government for things that you will have to answer for. And they were termed by many as alleged corruption. As I said before, the $7.3 million for vaccines that we never received, was this not a form of corruption? When rules were broken as far as financing was concerned, were you not the Minister of Finance then? I'm putting it to you, Alan, that in this particular issue, what took place was against the rules and regulations in order to secure that money. Another set of issues I want to take this ex-Prime Minister to task on is the funding of the Royal Police Force. Can you give us, the public, we the public, an example of the funding that was earmarked and given to the police under your Prime Ministership during the during the 5 years that you were in office? I'd also like to know the number of vehicles, whether it be motor vehicles or motorcycles, and other necessary instruments that the police needed during those 5 years and was given to them. Oh, I remember that you had organized dances at Sandals to raise monies for the police. Yes, I did go to one or two. I must say so, because I'm not a liar. But I cannot recall, however. I would like to inform you that this government have given over 5 times what you gave in 5 years. And they have done so in less than 3. It is at this juncture I'll take my second break. There's more to come tonight. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Moving Forward. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, something has stuck in my memory that over the last year, and that is when a past Prime Minister of the United Records of the Poor made it clear in the House, c'est pas flambeau. And he was so right, because that party now is one with little respect for the rule of law and the Constitution. They seem hell-bent on lies and, to be honest, are finding the money to do their public relations on a grand scale. You should ask why. However, the majority of what comes seem to be like the mess we flush down the toilet. They really think that our people are so stupid. Maybe, just maybe, it is because they thought that they were mendicants, jackasses and barking dogs. As was said before, comrades, you can fool some of the people some of the time, I tell you this, but not all of the time. Your leaders have lost all the support you once had because you have become a bunch of propagandists and liars, unheard of. You seem to be continually talking about corruption, yet apart from the MSR individual, I would say that anyone who is knowledgeable enough will tell you that alleged corruption, as has been reported, took place long before this government came to power. And that is what the special prosecutor is now investigating. Unless the word corruption is being misused, I don't know. I want to ask the leader of the opposition, how many hotels he said that he was going to build in St. Lucia during the 5 years? How much money did we have to pay out because of the problems that the government got into with some deals they had put in place? I can name quite a few. So let us stop this hopping and trying to blame this government for all the things you never did. I know Philip built many hotels. The one area I now want to ponder on, because some of your people keep talking about it: water during the dry spell. Why was no drainage done on the dam? Because it should have taken place. Why was there no money left by your government when this government came into power? Because when this government took office, there was no money in the kitty. This is what I will now tackle, and to open St. Lucian's mind to the alleged corruption as reported was taking place. The question, by whom? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to put to you tonight something that was said in America by Donald Trump, when he said quite categorically to his supporters, I don't care about you. What I just want is your vote. This, I thought then, was simply an insult of the highest proportion. Lo and behold, I then heard the leader of the opposition making the statement of declaring war on anyone who wants to take us for Papi Show. And further to that, he declares war on anyone who breached our Constitution. And the so-called Papi Show of words continued. And I will not dwell on it because it is below my academic standing. This individual is without a doubt an idiot of the highest level, or ignorance we can forget. He wants to declare war and therefore does not seem to understand the meaning of war. My first thought when I heard the declaration of war was to look for my bazooka, as was mentioned some time before, and objections were taken by the same individual who now declares war on the government per se or our people. In light of this, I went to the Collins Pocket Dictionary to find out the true meaning of war because a lot of us take the word for granted. And it says quite categorically that 1, war means fighting between nations. 2, conflict or contest. 3, of like and caused by war. So I now want to ask the individual, which one is he alluding to? I take it for granted that it is conflict and contest. There is no doubt in my mind that we have to make Alan explain thoroughly what he really means. He has used those words long before, and we, the public or the media, did not ask him some serious questions in that regard. So on this occasion, I'm anxious to know, so do many in this country. Here we have Tropical Trump, who fails to realize that he's using words out of context that may bring crime and violence to the country. Are you trying to spur people on, especially our young people, young men? Words like this can incite violence, more so in our countries. Young men can misconstrue the word war to mean violence. Don't forget, you were the same one that said that the country is made up of 43% mendicants. More so, they were also jackasses and barking dogs that continually bray. Therefore, my question is clearly, how in heaven's name can a leader of the opposition make such a statement? What is driving him to say so? Is it one of the reasons why his so-called constituency meetings have been a total failure, a flop, or that he is now lost for words because he's seen as a joke by the people throughout the society? However, what in the speech that left me simply flabbergasted and lost for words is when Alan made the remark in terms of the Constitution. I nearly ripped my hair. Oh, I don't know if I still have it. Ripped my hair out because here is that nincompoop wanting war on the Constitution, I suppose. When many years since independence, no government has abused the Constitution as he has done on nearly all fronts. This is a guy who has abused the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, the Speakers at random, and has threatened to leave the House when asked to sit down by the present Speaker. The guy has simply acted like a damn child in the House. This is the guy who simply refuses to abide by the rules and regulations of the House, who virtually told the Speaker at one time he can do what he wants. This is the man who did a few things during COVID that blatantly abused the Constitution. This guy simply talks bullshit or have feces coming out of his mind because he's somewhat brain dead as far as I'm concerned. He simply did not understand that he was breaking the Constitution when he went nearly 5 years in office without a deputy speaker. He had one for the first sitting, but from then on, the individual was promoted to the post of external minister, and the deputy speaker's post was void for 5 long years. He forgets also that he broke all protocols in terms of regulations in regards to the responsibility in terms of rules of the finance ministry when he did not go through the right procedures, as I mentioned before, in terms of paying out the $7.3 million for COVID vaccines. Deny that. We never received this vaccine to this day. There is just a handful of some of these, as just a handful of some of the things that we experienced between 2016 and 2021 by the last administration, and it needs to be mentioned. There was without a doubt a conglomeration of things that the last government did, and many turned a blind eye to it. One without a doubt is the drainage dealing with the dam, which today the evidence shows that no work was done when over $60 million was supposed to have been borrowed to work on that dam and drainage. I have all the facts from the people who were involved. In returning to Allen's idea of declaration of war on several areas of the citizens' life in this country by a demented opposition leader, as far as I'm concerned, leaves a lot to be desired. I now want to know from him and his mendicants who have given him all the support they could from the measly crowd. I also want to know if he had already begun the war on the people of Castries East long before he lost his job as prime minister, because things are becoming clearer, because his target and those of his bother boys and girls seem to be hitting in that direction. Was this to undermine Philip Joseph Pierre and his constituency, to vote against him? I'm coming to that conclusion because this is when, during COVID-19, we saw for the first time the so-called Fortuna Doctrine being unleashed into the country. Was that deliberate because it was the present Prime Minister's constituency? Or was it the war that had already been declared? Because they were sure that they would win the election. We must not forget, par oublier, Saint-Lycée. More so when they devised the idea of tents in crucial constituencies that they thought were on the brink. What has not sunk into Allen's head to date is that he lost the election badly, and he will never recover because real, true, hardcore UWPs would rather not vote at the next election if the likes of himself, Guy, Dominic, Nancy, the spider's web, who lost so badly at the last election to an individual who was young and running for the first time in an election. That is the word on the street. And strong UWPs I've spoken to are of that opinion. His defeat at the last election was without a doubt one of the worst defeats by a newcomer in the history of politics in St. Lucia. It is at this juncture I want to remind St. Lucians once again that Stephenson King in the House clearly told the whole of St. Lucian public, c'est pas fameux. I will take my next break and I will be back. Welcome back to Moving Forward. So, St. Lucians, I don't want you to forget that word, or those words, c'est pas flambeau. I don't want you, the public, to ever forget, more so at the next general election, if those people at the top of the party are still there. Or at this juncture, I want to be pedantic in the question I now put to the Micoud South constituency representative. And also Barboneau constituency. Many are asking some serious questions in relation to whether Allen is being rejected by the constituency he represents. I don't know. People want to know whether there is a feeling of not retaining the Micoud South seat. So much so, some think that at the next election he would become a has-been. This is if he still remains the candidate for the United Records of the Poor in that constituency. The reason for bringing this to the fore is because many are asking me, why is it that he and his family go to church every Sunday in Barboneau? Is it because he feels safer with the priest there? Or, more seriously, word on the ground is that he realizes that he must try another constituency. So do be on your guard. It is at times like these I would like to remind Alan, as ex-Prime Minister, the wicked things he did to this country, because he was not a product of this country, but one of Canada. Yet he wants to be the Prime Minister again, when he is not a product of this country. I didn't say it, he said it. He made that clear to all of us. Alan, there is a saying, once bitten, twice shy, and that has clearly been seen all over the country. Your days are virtually over, and you should do the honorable thing and return to that country you're a product of. Here is a Prime Minister, even when he was Minister of Tourism, allocating $45 million to subsidizing foreign airlines. He also brought on Boxing in Paradise as a Minister of Tourism, which was simply a flop to the country and cost this country millions of dollars. Here he was, as Prime Minister, supporting American Eagle to compete with Liat. He virtually subsidized all airlines coming to St. Lucia, bar Liat. The question is why? I want to tell Alan that his merry men and women that next month it will be 3 years of the present government's time in office, and therefore it may be just another year and a half before us going to the polls. So I said to him that unless your party does not get rid of you, because then there is no way the party can win or even make a dent on this present government, more so if a few of your poodles are still there. It will be very difficult, even though there have been some shenanigans in terms of the CIP monies or procedures that your party first messed up, and all that is now being investigated. So running to Philip Martinez is without a doubt a lost cause. He has tried to make your party whiter than thou, but he was fed with that propaganda. Have your party made a deal with him just in case? Well, the courts in America has already thrown out some of these accusations, and he will end up empty-handed. Then he will come for you and your party. The word on the street is that he has been allegedly been up by some on your side to put pressure on the present government. And yet he had no dealings with St. Lucia apart from the company you and your party brought to St. Lucia called Galaxy. You seem to forget, conveniently forget, that it was your party and you. Were they not going to build something, as I said, in Canals, and that about 1,000 Chinese would be coming visa-free? Was that being organized by T.O.R. King? Just asking a question. Are your CIP monies from T.O.R. King in a bank in China? Or what one would say, siphoned off? What I want to know is why your party seems to want to link every misdemeanor on Minister Hilaire. Is he a bloody thorn in your side? Or do you think, or your party side, or do you think that he is the weak link of the party? Your people tried before with Richard, but you took on the wrong person, who had every piece of evidence dealing with your past misdemeanors. Don't forget that he was in the UWP Stephenson King's administration together with you, Alan. So now he is not the target you can break. So your party now thinks that Hilaire is fair game. But I can assure you that you are also barking up the wrong tree. It seems as if you, as leader of the party, is trying everything to make something stick. But it is not happening. Some have called Ernest a liar, a thief. But who lies more than Alan? That is my joke. Alan, your party seems to be at a loss. And I pray and hope that Philip Martinez take you and your party for a hefty ride. Or maybe, just maybe, your party might think that Mr. McLeod, Emmanuel, is fair game. I tell you this, that once again, you are backing up the wrong tree. And therefore, you will be coming down with a hard crash. Why? Because he took over the mess you and your party left behind. And in theory, is holding all the aces in terms of your party's maladministration. Is that why you are asking that he be dismissed? Well, you can howler, jump high, jump low. You can throw all your stones till the snow falls in St. Lucia. Can you imagine snow in St. Lucia? You can spread your malicious rumors until the cows come home, but you will be the loser, as you are already the loser. To be honest, I don't have any respect for the individual that you call Martinez, because it seems as if he wants to be on the St. Lucia payroll and to come here to see what he can get. The issues he has brought up to me is without a doubt, and it has no substance to it, and it's indeed a red herring, as it is now clear that it was sponsored to spread alarm and despondency in St. Lucian political arena. I said to him in a clear and concise voice, Philip Martinez, what you have brought forth as far as the St. Lucian government is concerned is sheer crap. Who got in touch with him? That's the question, and others. Martinez's aim is to talk to our government, and that will not be forthcoming ever, because you have been involved in alleged fraud in other countries. It has been reported so. I am now putting the question to you. Is that right? What we have heard? Has it got any substance? Your biggest mistake is to give to the opposition a clean bill of health when you fail to give to the public any hard facts as to why they are experienced or why they are exonerated from what is happening, even with Galaxy. Do you know who brought Galaxy to St. Lucia? And that it was not the Labour government? Did you know that if not, go and do your research. I believe that the RICO case is going nowhere. And bit by bit, as we are seeing already, it will collapse. In my view, we have given this issue too much oxygen, and therefore we must now think more on what was termed the Pajora letter. Let us concentrate on that, and what implications it would have had on this island of ours. Before I close, I want to send my heartfelt condolences to Archbishop Felix's wife and family. I'm saying wife, family, who served this country as one who truly thought he was St. Lucian. He was without a doubt a godsend. And I hope and pray that he is happy with the Father in heaven. He was without a doubt an asset to this Helen of the West, and he will be missed by all. May his soul rest in peace. I'll certainly be singing the In Paradisium for him. Tonight I want to bring something to the fore also, and it has to do with our great men and women who have contributed one way or the other and who have had an impact on our lives. One individual I want to pay tribute to tonight in this program is one called Hunter Francois. I therefore say to our Prime Minister that we should now be thinking seriously of having a statue done to celebrate and to commemorate the life of Hunter J. Francois. I believe that it can be placed on the grounds of Sir Arthur and a history given as to the role he played in stopping the then John Compton government, who wanted to build a hotel there, but Hunter insisted that it should be used for a further education establishment. John was somewhat adamant that he wanted his hotel. However, Hunter insisted that further education school should be put there instead. In the end, Hunter achieved his aim. Thanking you, Lord, for the caliber of man he was. He's without a doubt the guiding light to what we call today Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. I don't want St. Lucians, more so our young, to ever forget one of our icons in this field of education, more so in this pristine land of ours. Therefore, I say to all who will hear, especially the government and Prime Minister, and to all who would listen, this poem, which tells us something about such great icons, lives of great men, all remind us we can make our lives sublime and depart and leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Hunter, without a doubt, have left his footprints on the sands of St. Lucia. In closing, once again tonight, I have tried to be honest, because to be honest is to confront the truth. I do so in order that generations to come can have a decent life, which means good health, education, jobs, etc. No matter how unpleasant and inconvenient the truth may be, I believe that we must expose and face it if we are to achieve a better quality of life for our children and their children. There's no doubt that many just expect things to be done for them. And I say quite categorically that we must all play a part. Therefore, I believe that we must all work consistently to lift this beautiful country that we love to a higher destiny, a new plateau of compassion, to a more noble expression of humaneness, and will only do so at present with Philip Joseph Pierre as our Prime Minister and leader of the nation. As I close, I want to remind all St. Lucians to be proud of yourself and to never forget that we were born black and should always be proud of that. Therefore, go in peace, always thanking the One Most High. Therefore, I wish you all peace and happiness. Serve the One Most High. Therefore, good night and good night.